The Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you here on this last weekend of September. As I guess October's next, isn't it? Surprise.
Hey, may October be as kind to our football teams as September has.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. I'm not talking about it because I want to jinx it.
That was enough.
Every time I get that way, I jinx things and then I start losing. So I'm not going to say a word. We'll wait till the holiday season starts at the end of October. Then we'll talk about that.
Halloween's right around the corner.
Welcome to our show this weekend here on KMED. The show repeats, of course, at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning here on AM 1440 and FM 106.7. Well, fall is always the time of the year that it seems like after you rush all spring, and all summer you're selling real estate, you're going crazy, stuff is moving, and all of a sudden Labor Day comes and things change. Bob Gervais is the principal broker and owner of REMAX Ideal Brokers, one of our terrific partners here on the Real Estate Show. Nice to see you. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
You look like he's out playing golf today, Bob says, out at our good friend Sal Escoval, Representative Sal's golf tournament. That must have been fun. It didn't rain.
It didn't rain. I thought sure we were going to get wet.
You had to have soft greens, I'm thinking.
Yeah, we plugged a few for sure.
Yeah, good for you there out that. So how's September going along here? I mean, you are you happy? That's what I always know when Bob is. If Bob is smiling, Bob's happy. When he frowns, then something's wrong. So, but just give our listeners a quick thing.
I am happy. We're hanging in there. I do anticipate roughly a 10% increase in production over last year.
Double-digit increase for wow. Okay.
And we've seen properties stabilize. Interest rates are pretty stable right now, but it just slows down this time of year. I don't know what time you get up in the morning, but at 6 o'clock it's like dark.
It's dark. It's dark when I go to bed, and it's dark when I get up. That's when I know we're getting close to the fall and winter.
Things are not the same, are they? That's really true. Yeah, it does change. Yeah,
and it gets a little cold. I frankly came from an area that really didn't have all the seasons, and I really do enjoy the seasons. I mean, it's nice to get out there and have the hot weather, but it's also nice to take a walk in the brisk air and that sort of thing, and seeing the little leaves change and that sort of thing.
And the coolness.
And the real estate market will slow down a little bit during the winter, so it's not a real good time necessarily to take your property off the market if you're interested in selling. And we'll talk about some of those ideas in terms of, how to play that game if you're interested in selling.
Strategize. Yeah.
Because this is more strategy maybe now in the fall and winter than you have at other times of the year. Well, Bob has brought along Mark Dewey, who's a broker also at the REMAX Ideal Broker. And Mark, nice to have you here. Make sure you talk into that microphone in there.
Thanks, Pete.
Nice to see you as well. And you, like Joe and I, you're like this is like a second career. I think that's most of our guests. Don't you think, Joe, that come in here, real estate, or whether it's in different areas of it, lending or
we just saw some
people have this
different
is like a
experiences that led us to this path.
It kind of just that's how it went. I mean, it started in advertising and marketing, and then real estate just became natural. So this is where I'm at, and I love it. So,
and how long have you been a broker now?
I've been a
Mark?
broker for about 9 years in the Valley, and bought and sold real estate for many years.
So natural way to come into it.
And Mark's a veteran of the radio and television show.
Well, I can hear his voice, and I think people would pick that up there. Mark's been around a microphone more than once or twice in his life. But so do you like, tell people, because we talk about that, and when you come into a new career, it's challenging, it's this and that, but you've done pretty well as well. Like Joe and I, we really enjoyed it. We really enjoy it.
I do. I really enjoy this business. It's a good fit for marketing and advertising coming here into the real estate market and being able to, just help people with, buying and selling homes. I mean, it's just a great...
Come on, Mark, tell him the truth.
Yeah.
It's like his game of golf. I love the golf. I love the golf. I hate the golf. I hate the golf.
It's definitely back and forth.
So Bob is talking about the market, and what do you see? I mean, the fall, how was your year? What do you... it's always, we think the cool thing that our listeners like so much is that so many guests are right. Like Bob, we're all right in the middle. Talk to the horse's mouth coming to you guys. You're right out there in the front lines of this whole thing, so you know exactly, what people are hearing. So what are you hearing right now? What's going on with you?
Well, the market seems to be that, I was really super busy at the first of the year. Closed,
yes.
Lots of things going on, really super busy. And it seems as if, things are going up and then they're leveling out and then they're going up and leveling out. So I'm seeing that a lot. I mean, it's not that our market's going down. And I think that inventories have something to do with that. I mean, we have kind of a low inventory, but we also have an increase in, sales, and we also have an increase in our percentages as far as
property values.
Property values is what I'm trying to say. So I mean, in the 1 year change, I'm looking at existing home sales, and we're 11.9% increase. This last year. So and then over the 5 year trend, we've been about 17%. So
well, it's funny when we started on our show a little over 5.5 years ago, and our listeners know this, we had like 75% of sales, were distressed properties 5.5 years ago. And that has totally changed and turned around now. So the market has gone that way. Yet I saw, on HomePath, the HomePath finance, the HomePath foreclosed properties that Fannie Mae owns. I guess that Fannie Mae owns those. Like 10 of them showed up this week alone. So they're still out there, the foreclosed properties. Not as many, but they're certainly still out there. They're letting
loose.
Is that what's happening right now?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be smart on the part of the banks or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac to just lay them out there all at the same time. They see the values starting to move upwards, and they're going to put the home at the current market value
because
or wait a while.
Those homes have an appraisal already on them. And when you see today, I think when buyers are out there and our listeners, when you're seeing a foreclosed property today that are Fannie Mae owned or federally owned now, they already have an appraisal on them. So they're putting those on the market at the appraised value. And
this is really important to understand if you're considering buying a house at the present time. Understand that back in 2008, offers that were coming in at 20% below the asking price may have been accepted, but nowadays, when a foreclosure comes on the market and it's a halfway decent house, they are selling at list price or more.
What do you advise people in this situation? Because I'm facing one myself here. I'm waiting for a client waiting for a HomePath home to come on. I mean, I wait and the thing comes. No one knows when it's going to come on. It's a mystery. All of a sudden, it shows up, and no one knows what the price is going to be.
You got to have an agent that stays on it
until it shows up. But what do you advise people, Bob, Mark? What would you advise people in this situation? Doing that, do you go over? How much should you go over?
First of all, when you're looking to buy, you need to be talking to a realtor that has the eye of a tiger. Not somebody part-time that sells one house a year. You need somebody right in the midst of it and watching out on a day-to-day basis. They know what agents are handling the foreclosure accounts. They communicate with them verbally. They're checking the 24-hour watch and watching them come on. You really have to plan your work and work your plan. Get yourself pre-qualified so that when you do make an offer, you're going in with a strong hand. And if you don't, and you really like the house, you're going to lose. You need to go in strong.
You have to go in strong.
You got to go in strong. And folks that are making an offer, I just taught a class on a financial calculator last week. And a $5,000 difference in price amortized over 30 years at an interest rate of 4% is $17 a month.
Yeah.
Somewhere are you willing to walk away from the house that you love for, 50 cents a day, 60 cents a day? Because we do see inflation beginning to take, I was just kidding with you a little earlier, Pete. I sent my wife to the store with a $100 bill, and she came back with a bag of potatoes. She's asking me for more money. We are seeing inflation start to take place. And the minute the federal government stops buying the bond at the bond rate, 50% of the bonds are being bought by the federal government. When they back off of that, you're going to start to see interest rates go to 5.5% or 6%. And I do, way back when, and we said, we're going to get a shortage in inventory here based on the building we're doing. I'm going to tell you right now, interest rates will begin to climb into the 6s, and
it's going to have it. We're now so used to. Go ahead. We're so used to now low interest rates. It's going to have a devastating effect on the market.
It's the kind of analogy almost of that $5,000 over 30 years and cost you $17 a month. That 2% now over 30 years, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, more than that, Pete. Yeah, it's right now you can get more of a house for the same monthly payment.
Exactly.
As it goes up,
going to change.
Your payment's going to stay the same, but you're not going to find that larger house with more amenities and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see
your buying power is about to really take a hit, especially if you're in that first-time home buyer in that under $200,000 range.
I'm not screaming wolf here, you guys, but I mean, you have to plan your work and work your plan. We are seeing, by the way, inventories starting to move in the more expensive levels. Ashland has been on fire. Prices have gone up dramatically in Ashland.
It's crazy. I mean, it truly is. I remember
$1 million houses you couldn't sell 3 years ago are now selling. So
well, but it's the lower price houses that people can afford are the ones that are going up the most. It's all of a sudden there's nothing $300,000 left there. It's all above that.
And you're going to run out of elementary school kids in Ashland.
And we're going to go back to the same darn thing that happened there in the early 1990s. And you watch it. I'll bet you what's going to happen. It's crazy. It's a crazy business. You're the one who says this. It's a crazy business, and it truly is. Mark, you heard him.
Yeah, 100%. What Bob's talking about is, I mean, I'm looking at these distressed sales, and we're looking at this year 56 sold. We're looking at regular home sales at 601.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this has been changing, and the inventory is a little lower. And when you're sitting on the fence and you're looking at property and you're thinking, home path, and you're going to jump on this project, guess what? There's 10 other people. So if you are a real estate agent that's in the market, knows what's going on, talks to these people that are doing these types of homes, you know that there's going to be multiple offers. That's not going to go for the price that it's actually listed at. They're actually looking for a bidding war right now. So, and that's where we're at in this market.
They're seeking that because when Diana Yates was here, part of our HUD home stores kinds of things, the one thing we learned is that when you submit bids for these, they look at the highest net to HUD, highest net to Fannie Mae. That's what they're looking for, isn't it? That's what they want.
Susie Raincloud. No. Only kidding, Diane. Sorry.
Hey, and I've got investors and cash buyers as well. And, we throw these offers in there, cash, no closing costs, all these things that we do. And my investors are saying, I should get this property. Well, they're not getting them,
Right.
Because
so when you remember now, investors, you've got to wait at least 30 days. Some of them are different. I know the different types. So investor property. So the owner occupied. At least Mark is saying that actually is working for owner occupied and getting these properties first.
It is.
Do you get any of them? Have you gotten any of them?
Absolutely.
So you still that nobody bids on. I mean, nobody bids on them, and so investors then can offer. Prices.
Yeah, I mean, most of these properties are priced so well that somebody's going to get them, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, well, I think
they're intended to be, to get families back in there, and whether it be through investors or through home ownership.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that they're pricing them what they're appraised at, and that has made a big difference in some of these sales of foreclosed properties and getting the price up too, because they've already done an appraisal on them, and so you have that information.
Come strong if you want it.
Come strong.
Another thing we're seeing right now, and I think that would bear out when our property manager comes to talk. But rental rates have gone up substantially,
yes.
And when they go up, investors buy a yield or return, net operating income or net income before tax. What's the yield on the property? And they began to look at what other rentals are being charged for, and they raise that rental rate up, and now it's a better yield for them, and they're in the game right now because our vacancy factor in Jackson and Josephine County right now is probably
it's less than 2%, so around
98%.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are no vacancies.
There's no vacancies, unless you want to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Last time Laurel from All Cities Property Management was here, she said she had 300 properties, and I think had one available out of 300. I mean, that's how tight.
No, I think it was 3.
Three available. It wasn't very many. Well, it wasn't very
Same ratio, pretty much.
And
Didn't skew the number very much there.
What I found too is that when I've talked to people and they're renting, they don't realize that they actually qualify with these low rates to buy a house. So those are things that people need to get out there and explore, because they don't understand that they can actually own a house for less than what they're renting sometimes.
Although that window may be about halfway
it's getting close.
Yeah,
it's getting very close at this point. And I'm going, let's go, people.
And it's closing because prices are rising. Is that what would be closing that?
When those interest rates nudge,
when the interest rate changes,
your
that's
buying
when we're
power
going to
is severely affected.
And,
sure.
And of course, most first-time home buyers, can't afford high properties. And you don't want to overextend yourself.
Right.
That's for sure. I mean, we've learned that, haven't we? Overextending just to get a property is not the smart thing to do, even though how much you want it sometimes may not be the smart thing to do then. Okay, the Real Estate Show. We're with Bob Gervais and Mark Dewey from REMAX Ideal Brokers on our REMAX Market Watch show this weekend here on KMED. This show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning right here on AM 1440 and FM 106.7. This show also, of course, can see on YouTube.com/Real Estate Show Oregon. Real Estate Show with Pete and Joe here continues on right after this. Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, here in this last weekend of September, of 2014. Hope you're having a good week ahead for you as we continue on here. We're talking with Bob Gervais, who's the principal broker and owner of REMAX Ideal Brokers, and Bob was probably one of the smartest real estate guys you've ever want to know, because residential, commercial, he kind of is involved with all that stuff. I guess when you own the company, you have to do that. So maybe that's why he's
I know you, and I know Bob. Bob's the smartest real estate guy I know, and that circle.
There's
nothing against you. Bob knows a lot.
Bob's forgotten more than
yes,
we will ever know, really, more than anything. And we're also with Mark Dewey, who's a broker with REMAX Ideal Brokers. We're giving you a REMAX Market Watch update and kind of what these guys are seeing going on in the marketplace around us, because it certainly is changing at the fall here. We're going to see a lot of changes, but also opportunities, I think. And that's the thing that I like about the fall, is that the smarter people maybe wait till fall and winter to sell, because many times you get better deals and you get better prices as well. Okay, I know, can I just ask you a quick question here, Bob, and Mark too, and Joe? I've seen a number of news stories, recently about small homes and zoning types of changes in Bend and other places where there's housing is crazy. I mean, are we getting to that place? Are we going to see that type of very small single
kind of an international thing, actually? Yeah.
Are we going to Santa Monica or Laguna Beach or Oceanside? You're going to
God forbid.
But yeah,
Seattle.
If you had the money to do that, or could put up with all that traffic, which I can't do, but sure, you're going to start to see smaller places and high rises and apartment type of things, or leased land, if you would. But here locally, it's been my experience that in an apple-to-apple comparison for price, let's say that figure is $170,000, people would prefer to have a freestanding single-family residence at maybe 1,400 square feet or something like that, over and above having a 1,400 square foot zero lot line home or townhouse facility. I'm not saying they don't sell, but, the public likes to have a single story residence right now. I mean, older folks that are retiring in here, they want an aerobic house, if you would, and those that have families want a place for their kids to play or the dog to run around or whatever. So I really don't see here locally that, based on prices as they are and the fact that we're not in an inner city where the demand,
the density
is so thick that they go up. If I was to bet, I would bet on single family places with one story, including retirees. So
I want to win Powerball. I would build residential rental neighborhoods, little subdivisions of 12 apiece, and rent them all out when it was all said and done. I'd be set for life. couple of those.
You win Powerball, you don't have to do that.
I was going to say, I wouldn't,
Yeah,
I
but I
wouldn't
got to
take
do
my
something
money
at that
into
point.
that
I
at all.
can't fish the whole rest of my life and play golf. I don't know. I'd like to try, but probably won't get that chance. But
Well,
no, I mean, that'd be a huge market going forward, and the growth that we're going to see here in Medford. And is our UGB big enough for the growth that we're going to experience? We just went through the RPS process and delineated all that's going to be, but Medford's going to grow pretty significantly, and everybody's going to grow with us.
They say 50% in the next 20 years.
That's
I think it'll be way sooner than that.
Do you? I mean,
way sooner than
that's
that.
a surge in population we've never seen. In here in the Southern Oregon region,
people are moving into California at a rate of 1,000 people a day. Most of them cross the border, but yeah. But all we need is
40% of those are illegal immigration.
but all we need is a couple of earthquakes and a few more fires, and they'll be up here. A little less water down here.
A little more
here.
traffic. Yep. Come see us.
I don't want to see that happen. Let them stay right where they are. I think they're good.
Yeah,
they're
leave your
fine
money
there. The hordes
It
are
worked
there.
out just right with the time we have left and the coming population. We should be out the door before it finally gets too big.
Oh, I agree with Bob that in Brad Bennington from the Home Builders has backed that up, that in terms of new construction, we're seeing smaller places, smaller footprints, smaller, these kinds of things there. I'm just wondering that if in the future, and you guys, Joe, you like go to those planning commission meetings all the time, and I'm wondering that in the future, as this urban reserve gets placed, that we're going to see restrictions or smaller lot sizes. You can't have large lots and things like that to get more density in. Do you see any of that type of thing coming?
Well, I'd rather not have that happen.
It's
and
too much
preserve
government.
The free choice that people have.
Okay, so okay,
I think it's more of an affordability, in the area to build in a smaller, footprint is what I'm seeing right now. And that's, I think, the draw of coming here and living in Southern Oregon is that we don't have that kind of density and that kind of population and skyrise in Seattle and down in California like you're talking about. I mean, we got 3-2s, great living here. So
well, if you study the different groups of people, like, the baby boomers and the Gen X's and that sort of thing, it was once thought that a lot of the younger folks that are coming up and that are using their iPads and using their cell phones, that they want to do major traveling and live in a small 600 square foot place and take the money and go to Australia or travel a lot, and then you can do a lot of that. Your income can come from working through the internet, if you would, or whatever. Yeah. But what I'm seeing here is that the working youth right now like a team atmosphere. They like to be a part of a team. They like to be recognized, but not over the top. I mean, who wants a 12,000 square foot house? I don't. I personally,
I can barely clean the one I have, and it's a little over 1/12 of that.
Like you clean, okay?
Yeah, kitchen. Well, I have to.
I know that there's certainly multiple the houses that continue to sell are in the low range in terms of price wise. That 200,000 range is still a popular range because that's what most people can afford, and that's where I hope that lending continues to go there, because I worry about that, especially as prices rise here. People are going to get priced out, and I know.
And that's part of the problem we have in this valley, is the fact that we don't have a lot of affordable housing. I mean, anybody who works would like to have their own little place. I think, at least I think, in America, you feel better about working and having your own place that you can call your own and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, our jobs here do not make the labor
easy.
Market does not
doesn't make it easy
to pull the groups in there that are making 50 or 60 or 70,000 a year. A lot of them are minimum wage incomes, and because of that, we need to somehow create some affordable living space for these folks.
When all this growth comes to Southern Oregon,
there better be some jobs.
I'm going to say,
all
those people are going to come. It's going to create this incredible disparity in almost the haves and the have-nots if it transpires like that. It's
Well, I went to a meeting this last week, and we were talking about the master plan of this area and what needs to be done. And one of those things was to bring, clean jobs, if you would, to Southern Oregon. Yep. So we still have the area that's got blue skies and trees and everything else, and somehow get clean clean jobs.
And the biggest restriction on job creation is the air quality issues that come with new jobs or new industry. So it can't come in and be a polluter, for example, things like that, because you can never get the permits to do it. So that seems to be a problem. But we talk about that all the time.
It's just beating a dead horse to say that the natural resources we've been blessed with in this area that have been locked up was the last time that we were able to provide family wage jobs. It's never coming back. The timber industry is never going to be able to support that level. But that was the last time our Southern Oregon region had family wage jobs. Kids could stay at home, go to work, raise families, buy homes. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah. The soapbox there, wasn't that? The soapbox there, wasn't that?
We got him right outside our doors here.
All right, the Real Estate Show. One more segment to go here this weekend on KMED. We're with Bob Gervais and Mark Dewey from REMAX Ideal Brokers. We're coming right back after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate guys, with you. We get together with you every weekend here on KMED. We talk about issues facing real estate with a great group of guests, and this weekend is no exception as Bob Gervais and Mark Dewey from REMAX Ideal Brokers have stopped by, and we're chatting everything about, well, you name it, about real estate and what's going on in the market, rentals, future. We got the fall coming up here in winter, and I still think that this is the time of the year, Bob, that you don't want to just say it's because it's fall, I don't want to do anything, because that would be kind of crazy.
We do well in the fall.
Yeah,
I mean, we really do. Our sales are not what they are in April or May or June or July, but a lot of people don't like take their house off of the market and think they're not going to get anybody. Well, but you have less inventory on the market.
Right. See, that's the difference, is that this is the time of the year, Mark, right? That you just have less inventory in the fall, in the winter months.
And so people are wanting to come up to buy a house. You want to be in the game.
And I've also seen people who come up in the winter looking at properties that they will come back in the spring again. They're looking over this time as well. So yeah, it's not as we talk about it. It's not a dead time, I guess, is the bottom line as well.
I've had great success during this time of the year, and people that want to sell. I mean, if we list the house and we get it on the market at the right price, sometimes it hits the market that perfect point where everybody's already been looking at everything that's been out there. Inventories are a little low. You get a new, fresh look at a brand new house on the market, and it sells right away. And I've had that happen, and I've had great Novembers and Decembers.
I know Bob teaches lots of classes at REMAX for real estate brokers, and one of those is really, isn't the most critical thing, I think, I would see if Bob agrees with it, is the most critical thing is pricing the house to sell right. Isn't that the key?
There are 5 reasons that a house does not sell. Can you tell me what they are, Pete?
5 reasons it does not sell. Okay, this is a test. I love that. Okay, the price is too high.
Price is one.
It looks like crap on the outside. The condition of the house. The third one, Mark? What?
Location. Location.
Oh, location.
Can't do anything about that.
We have locations out of the. Okay, that's 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I'm looking at Mark because you see he's probably taking the class.
Terms.
Oh, financing, you mean, kind of thing? Financing?
And marketing. Who do you got marketing it?
Okay.
So if you're having everything work really well in all of those things, you're getting offers, you're getting showings, your ads are out there, the condition of the house is good, you can't move the house, there's only one thing left, and that means you have to adjust the price, and the market is not agreeing with what you have. The definition of a market value is not what one person will pay for it, but what several people will pay for that. So somewhere in there, in the price range, is what the professional real estate agent will tell you, or the appraiser will tell you, and if you're too high, you're going to have to come in there anyhow if they're getting financing, because the real estate agent is using the comps to evaluate what that house should sell for with all of those 5 basic reasons in mind.
And remember, we have to, is that the price, I mean, the sale price has to appraise if you're getting a loan. And, if it doesn't do that,
if you're in an upswing market, you can go a little higher. If you're in a downswing market, you better get underneath that market, because if you put it too high and the market's dropping, you'll drop, the market will drop, you'll drop, the market will drop, and eventually your net proceeds will be reduced dramatically based on the amount that it's dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too many days on the market as well. You know, I mean, it sits on the market a little while, and so you want to really hit that nail on the head.
Yeah, it's important. It's very important for both the buyer and the seller. That's for sure. You still are a believer that creating wealth begins with home ownership. I mean, I've heard you say that over and over. And
I do, and understand that I do have my own retirement income based on my KEO or my IRA or whatever those kinds of investments are. But when you can take $5,000 and earn whatever 2%, or a whopping $100, and you're in the 25% tax bracket, that $5,000 really only increases your wealth by $75 in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But you can take that $5,000 and buy yourself a $140,000 home, and the property is going to appreciate at a rate of about 5% per year. 4 or 5. Historically, it's 4 or 5 or 6%. And so it's the $140,000 that's appreciating at 5%, or somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000, not $75. And you get to write off the interest rate. First 10 years of your loan is pretty much all tax deductible. And so if your payments are $12,000, for example, and you're in the 25% tax bracket, you're saved $3,000 in taxes that you would have paid that now you don't, and so your net payment that you're making out on a monthly basis is adjusted by the savings and the taxes you have.
It does, but overall, it's creating something for you, right, and your family, some security, some equity, those kinds of things that begin.
If you're smart.
Yeah.
But the minute you start to get equity, you're going to start to get all these ads for credit cards and trips to Hawaii, and you get the brand new Mustang, and and you have all this money. You should be wise in how you spend your money.
Don't overextend. I mean, that is really the bottom line. Be responsible for that, because it would do it. So we're almost out of time here today, Marco. What do you see ahead in this world that you're out there with Bob? I know you're listening to him and all the good things that he says, and other agents, and what are you seeing out here for the next few months or so?
Well, I just want to say that I think it's a great time to buy. I mean, if you're in the market to buy a house, this is a time to get focused and get into a home, because the market's changing every day, and our interest rates are going to change as well. And one of the things that Bob said that I really appreciate is that real estate, that's something that I've always looked at. It's real estate. You can stand on it. It's tangible. It's there. You can touch it. You're there. You own it. So that's something that's real. And I think it's that's where I've been, and that's the direction I've gone for a long time now, and it's worked out really well. So I think that, if you're looking to buy a home, or even if you're looking to sell a home in this market, and especially in this time, the inventories are low. So it's a good time, actually, for real estate, especially with these rates.
I think the issue is the inventory. What's that?
Don't forget to plug SOGT.
Okay, you got it right now. Say it. Coming up. Oh, that's right.
Southern Oregon's Got Talent. We have our top 10 have been picked out, and the finale is at the Criterion October the 25th. It's an amazing show if you've not been to it, and tickets are available at the Criterion for $20, and you can vote, and all the money that is raised goes to Community Works, or the CASA organization, the kids that are less privileged in this area.
October 20th. We're out of time. God bless. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Original Real Estate Show with Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys. For advice, guidance, or counsel on any of our topics, or to watch a replay of today's show, visit our website at realestateshoworegon.com. This show is sponsored by REMAX Ideal Brokers of Southern Oregon, Tycor Title, All Cities Property Management, and the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District. We'll continue our weekly quest to enhance the value of your property and to make you a smart real estate consumer when we gather every Saturday and Sunday on KMED for the one and only original real estate show.